I'm Sasha Stefanovic from Purdue Men's Basketball, and you're watching Brags in the Stands.
Comes in to Stefanovic. Down to 3. Down to 2. Stefanovic, long 3. Oh! Got it! He got it at the horn! We're tied! Oh, my! Oh! Sasha Stefanovic from 30 feet! We're going to overtime! Bulldogs 49! Vikings 49! You're listening and watching Chevy Dealers Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Never gets old. Basketball season is here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
The Bears, they started this new tradition last year where they celebrate their wins the correct way.
Waddle and Sylvie, ESPN 1000, don't miss it.
I know what you mean.
It's like their own Philly.
Okay. Okay, I think what it is.
We shouldn't be showing this. Am I crazy?
Sign that is. What have I told you? 17 minutes of rain would wash away 108 years of drought.
Do you see this team growing into the team that you were in 2005?
Great practice, everybody.
You are ridiculous.
Yes, sir. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The hope for the journey to get to a Big Ten championship and then hopefully many more for the Purdue Boilermakers here in a big-time 2021 college basketball season, one of the most hyped seasons in Purdue basketball history, to put it mildly. So let's get right into it. I am your host, Gregory Braggs Jr., and this is Braggs in the Stands. And without further ado, got to bring in our special guest, first and foremost, our guy, Sasha Stefanovic, senior guard. How we doing tonight, Sasha?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. I appreciate you carving out some time. I know you're getting close to the big dance starting off, and we're all very excited for it. And when you look back at everything that you've gone through to get to this point, now you're a senior. What is the first thing that comes to mind as you enter your senior year, as far as where your focus and mindset is at?
Yeah, I was actually literally just talking about this the other day, but going into your last year and everything, I just have the mentality of just having an enjoyable, fun, great experience with my teammates for one final time, and everything that comes along with it is just added bonus on top. So just going at it every day and kind of appreciating the little things that you sometimes get overlooked. I feel like these past 4 years, 5 years really, have gone by so fast that sometimes you don't get a chance to stop and look around and appreciate everything that you have, everything that you've got to enjoy. So making relationships with people behind the scenes, talking to more people, talking to more fans, enjoying the days when practice sucks even, or stuff like that is something that I'm trying not to take for granted.
And before we bring on our other guests here tonight, because we have two more special guests here to come, to touch on that, Sasha, I've obviously followed you throughout your high school career, known you a long time, made no secret of that here at Braggs in the Stands. And of course, we had to start our show off with your infamous Crown Point shot, the shot heard around the region. But, that's kind of where I want to go with this next question is, it is your senior year, and I can remember your senior year of high school. And it was, your team was loaded. It was so much fun. Obviously Grant Galen went to IU, the year prior, and Andrew Kennelly and Ken Decker and Dom Tomic. And you come together, almost as a family. And you get to that point as a senior year. And all I could remember was it was so much fun, at the beginning of the year. And then as it got to the end, you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. How much have you learned? What have you learned from that year to try to push that to the side? And like you said, just enjoy it. Is there anything that you can take from that senior year that can carry you into this year to give you, a stronger focus, maybe, so to speak?
Yeah, I think you have to have the mentality like this is the last time that this specific group of guys is going to be together and playing. So I just wanted to take advantage of the relationships that I've had, the teammates that I've met, and everything like that, and really enjoy this last year. Like, I get to play with a lot of future NBA or professional players this year, and I have these past 4 years. But
Sure.
This year, we have a special team. Obviously, there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of so-called pressure put on us by everybody else. But it really doesn't really get to us and everything. We don't really think about it because it's, I don't know. There's so many things that we have to, work on and everything that, we're not worried about the outside noise and everything. But in my mind, I really just want to go play with these special players on my team that, like, I really want to enjoy seeing their great year that they could possibly have, and then helping me along the way as well from a personal side, and then from a team side, all the potential that we have to do great things, to win a title, to get to the NCAA tournament, and do whatever. So, that's kind of what I'm most looking forward to.
It's a tremendous opportunity, and Matt Painter was gracious enough to give you that opportunity 5 years ago. And now here you are, it culminates into a senior year. And like we talked about, an extremely hyped, couldn't be a more hyped season to finish off here. So I'm very excited for you. And, I'm also excited to bring on our next guest, a co-host here tonight, our guy, Craig Bowers. This is actually my first opportunity to meet Craig as well. He reached out to me, Sash, and asked me about a month ago, hey, do you want to do a Purdue show? He's let me share some stuff along on his platform. He's got a Facebook group of some Boiler diehards, to put it mildly. And I was like, yeah, for sure. I reached out to everybody last minute. So I said, hey, Craig, you want to hop on tonight and have some fun? And here he is, Craig Bowers. How are we doing tonight, Craig?
I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be able to join you guys tonight and talk a little bit about Purdue basketball.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to have you. And, do you have any initial thoughts as far as this season, or a question for Sasha before we bring on our next guest?
Initial thoughts. I guess I'm just really excited going into this season, everything coming back from last year. I got to dip into the scrimmage the other day and watch those guys kind of go at it against each other. And I'm just really excited to see where this season takes Purdue basketball and hopefully to new heights. And I'm excited to get into it when we bring the other guest on and talk some more about it.
Let's do it. So now, without further ado, as I always use that phrase because I can't think of any other phrase to say, but we will bring on our next guest who's been waiting patiently in the background, and I got a cool intro video to introduce him. Here he is.
It's Purdue's ball with 6.4 to play. Hunter to inbound. Setting a couple of screens of the Boilermakers. Into Travion. He'll catch and shoot. He made it! He made it! He made it! 4 seconds on the clock. Michigan State racing to the other end. 3 seconds. Here's a shot at the buzzer. No good! No good! Purdue wins! Purdue wins!
What a win for the Boilers! Travion Williams. Bucket.
Travion Williams. Bucket. That's his tagline.
Yes, sir.
Our guy, Bobby Riddell. Bobby Buckets, how we doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on. That was that was a fun moment. That was the first, buzzer beater game winner in my radio career. And I learned that, you definitely got to try to make sure you don't step on the play-by-play guy's toes while he's doing his thing, because that's obviously their moment, really. And as the color guy, if you can get a word in like I got there at the end, that's kind of just the cherry on top. So that was an exciting moment. I had me out of my seat. We were unfortunately not able to be present last year on the road, which we'll be able to this year, which I'm really looking forward to. But last year we were in a small little room off of Ross-Ade Stadium calling that game off of a monitor. And Wes Scott, our engineer, was filming us on the iPhone as we were calling those final seconds. And I jumped up out of my seat when Travion hit that floater because I was pretty excited to see.
Yeah, you and Rob Blackman do an incredible job. And that was I was going to ask you, being on the road, you're just sitting at home like everybody else trying to figure out who's getting back on defense. All you have is the television screen to go off of. And then at home games or the games you're able to attend, they had you at an elevated, standpoint. This was actually when fans were in the stands, so you actually got a little bit of a feel for that. How much are you looking forward to being courtside at Mackey Arena? When Sasha Stefanovic and Jaden throws one down and the house goes wild. How excited are you to take those calls into that energy?
I'm super excited. It's going to be a whole different feel. Like you pointed out there in the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament, there were fans back in the stands, so we did get a little of that. And obviously, they were both very pro-Purdue crowds, being in Indianapolis. So it was, you could say it was a little bit of a Mackey light situation from a crowd standpoint, and that was really exciting, having some crowd atmosphere and some cheers, especially in both those games. Purdue made really big time comebacks in the second half, and the crowds got into it. So that was exciting, but we weren't courtside. And I will say the view that we had at Mackey, which was on the concourse level, and then there in that picture as well, it probably is a better view for calling the game as far as just having that kind of aerial aspect or vantage point. You can really see the game better when we're courtside. I mean, I haven't done a game courtside yet, but just remembering from sitting on the bench, like sometimes, Coach Paint's walking in front of you or something, and like maybe you won't be able to see things as clearly. So
just tell Painter to sit down or get out of the way,
So I know what the answer is going to be.
Just tell Painter, be like, move. You've been on the team.
I'm excited to hear him, when he's chewing out Sasha for missing defensive assignment or
It'll happen soon.
You'll hear the word move. Well, you can hear that all the way from the top level of Mackey. For the last row, you hear him yell move about 900 times in a game. Like, I can't wait to get back to that. And so for this first segment of the show, and obviously I appreciate everyone's time here tonight, but let's keep it focused to Sasha and any questions we have for him, so we can cut him loose and let him get back to bed. He's got homework and studying for practice and everything else. I can only imagine all the things on Sasha's plate. And then, maybe the three of us can do a roundtable discussion as far as expectations go in the season. But, to kick things off, Sash, we talked about last year when I had you on at this time, it was all about the question with these freshmen and what were they going to be like. And there was whispers that Edie was banging with Travion at practice. But then we got to see these guys. Now that they've been here a year and they've been through all the grind of everything, how much do you think that's going to help them? Is there any kind of learning curve with the fact that there were no fans in the stands? Do you think there will be a bit of an adjustment? How much are they ready to take their game to the next level?
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously they're going to be a massive part of our team this year and going to be major points of production for us on the offensive and defensive end. I think you saw how talented those guys are and what they could do for us on the offensive and defensive end of the floor. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a new experience for them playing in front of fans. Obviously, they weren't able to. It was only a few hundred people or however many it was last year, and going to away venues as well is going to be it's going to be a new challenge for them. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of nerves at the beginning, but the more experience, the more the more you get into it. I think they're going to be okay, and I think they've proven that they could really play at this level. So they're going to be huge for us.
Absolutely. And like I said, this was all thrown together last minute, and I appreciate everyone agreeing to come on here tonight. I reached out to everyone yesterday, so not too much planning went into this. This is a round table as far as who wants to fire away at questions. Craig, I'll let you take it next as far as any questions you have for Sasha. Go ahead.
Yeah, everybody kind of talks about that freshman to sophomore year jump and the jump that players make from that freshman to sophomore year. What is it about that going from your freshman year to your sophomore year? Is it just getting used to college life, being out on your own, banging against other Big Ten players for a season? What is it kind of that really catapults those players in that freshman to sophomore year talent?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mixture of everything, to be honest. You kind of touched on it. I think just especially for us in our system, I think we have so many plays, so many different actions, the style of play that we have. It takes people, and I always we talk about it all the time, but it takes people at least a year to figure out what we're really doing. And that's why I think a redshirt year is so beneficial. That's why I really thought that I gained so much experience and so much knowledge just from sitting out a year and learning from people ahead of me. Where I learned how to play within our system, learn what's the best shot available, learn how to not turn over the ball in certain situations, defensive assignments, just little things that I think really help. And and also just from a strength and speed and everything from that standpoint, from an athleticism side, it's crucial. I think you know there's very few players that in college basketball that could come in as a freshman and make, you know, massive impacts and be the star of their team. So, you know, most freshmen come in and, you know, you play a role and you do that. But yeah, I think just that jump, I think, is just learning our system. It took me basically 2 years to figure it out. And then I finally started to get a little bit more success. But yeah, it's something that a lot of players go through, and hopefully we see a lot of our freshmen last year make a big jump this year.
Bobby, go ahead.
Yeah, Sasha, so for you, now you're a senior, and granted last year as a junior was you were a redshirt junior, so your fourth year in the program. And with the fact that you guys didn't really have any seniors, you probably were certainly in a leadership role. But now as a full-fledged senior, last go around, you, Eric, and Travion, how are you feeling? How's it gone so far as like that empowerment that comes from being the senior and that final go around? You know, what's it been like as far as from a day-to-day standpoint for you from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, it's definitely a new role that I'd say it, but like I never thought I would find myself in this program. Like I never thought I would be the oldest guy or a team captain or whatever it may be. But like, it's a great feeling. It's a great, you know, I'm thankful that Coach Painter, trusts me enough to put me in that role and kind of be a leader to help some of the younger guys out through anything that they need and helping them along the way. But yeah, it's a unique role that I find myself in, and I'm really just trying to embrace it this last year and kind of give everything that I can to this team, this program, and like, you know, just this university in general.
So Sash, you know, not to bring up old wounds, but you know, the last game you guys played, you know, North Texas was a tough loss. You know, I'm sure ripped your guys' hearts out, ripped out a lot of the fans. And North Texas, to their credit, played a great game. You know, they came to play that night. What do you think you guys learned from that experience? You know, and what can you take from that? You know, everybody wants to take a deep run to try to learn that way, but you guys got a first round exit. So what can you guys take from that and use that as motivation or energy this year?
Yeah, I think we actually touched on it a lot as a team, and we actually just watched film on it not too long ago, probably a month ago on the game, and just minor mistakes that we did, but it's all little things. That's the thing that we really emphasize when we watch that game again and play it back. I've seen it. I've watched it myself probably 30 times, 30 something.
Oh no.
And yeah, just, you know, but it's just little things. Like honestly, like I thought that you're right. They played a great game, but like we just did little things that were, you know, like turning the ball over, you know, defensive things that we just didn't, we weren't on the same page with, or whatever it was. Those little things could be shore up, and we could really learn from them. So the kind of the mentality that we're trying to take is, you know, whatever year it was, Virginia lost to the 16 seed UMBC, and then the next year they win the national title. So like, you know, you could take those things two different ways. You could either take that loss and just be, you know, take it the wrong way and focus on that negative. And, you know, it's always it could have haunted Virginia forever. You know, they're part of the history books. They're the first ones to lose to the 16 seed, like whatever. But then the next year they proved themselves that they were a number one seed. They should have, you know, they were the best team in college basketball, whatever it is. And, you know, that's kind of the mentality that we have to have. Like, we lost. It is what it is. Like, we can't do anything about it now, but we could learn from the mistakes that we had in the tournament and then turn around and hopefully get farther.
And my follow-up to that, and then I'll kick it over to Craig. You know, as far as last year went as a whole, like even in that Michigan State game where we showed Bobby Bucket's call, you know, and the Ohio State game in the Big Ten tournament, and then that game, it seems like you guys would find yourselves in the second half. In the first half, you put yourself in a hole. What are some of the things that you guys have talked about or worked on to try to come out the gates hotter?
Yeah, I think it's just like an experience standpoint, and I think it's just like being more mature. So like we go into these big games now, like we're gonna have massive games this year. We play a lot of great games, a lot of tough opponents, and a lot of great venues. So when we go into these places, we have to be ready from the jump because you go down by 10 against whoever, a great team, you may not make that up. So I think for us, making sure that we're locked in from the jump, whether that starts 2 days before when we start doing our scout and everything and our film sessions, and making sure that we're locked in from the jump from there, going through plays, going through the scouting report, player personnel, whatever it is, our plays even, making sure that we're locked in and then we know what we're doing from that standpoint is really going to help us, I think, get off to a better start where we're not trying to play from behind every single time. So
absolutely. All you, Craig.
Okay. So much of this team is, I don't want to say a known commodity because obviously there's growth from year to year, but I think I saw a stat like something like 90% of the minutes returned from last year's team. But nonetheless, watching Caleb and FIBA this summer, seeing Trey and Caleb both in the scrimmage the other day, it seemed like both those guys are ready to contribute in some way. What's impressed you about those two guys, I guess, as you go through practice before the season starts?
Yeah, they have been so terrific and just they're such great learner. Like they learn so well. They listen very well. They're able to pick things up so fast. Where I think they've both put themselves in a position to play a lot right away and really make an impact for us. Even Brian Waddell, I mean, he's going to redshirt for this year, but he's part of their class, and him, like, they're just great learners. They really pick up things. They're really great, very smart. They make the right plays. They don't try to do too much. They just they do their job every single time, and that's like a perfect recipe to have success within our program. And I think both of them are going to have a massive impact. And then Brian in the future, I think he's going to be. I think Brian Waddell is going to be like a star in this league. So we'll see, but I think all three of them are going to be so good.
Putting them on the spot there. I like it,
Yeah.
And were you surprised? I got to sit courtside covering for Region Sports Network when Caleb first won a state title as a sophomore. I think he won 2. And you could tell this guy's country strong. Are you surprised how well he's able to stretch the floor? I wasn't expecting that when I came to scrimmage the other day. Is that something that surprised you during the summer when you first got to ingratiate yourself with him?
Yeah, I always knew he could shoot it a little bit, but the level that he shoots it at is very high. Like we, after practice, we always have different guys shooting after practice, and we kind of have like our own little groups that we shoot threes with, and it's me, him, Ethan, Morton, and Isaiah are usually like a little squad that we shoot after, and he's lights out. He's shooting a great percentage when we do those things in practice.
Has he beaten you yet in those drills?
Not yet. But no, he's great. Like he's been able to stretch the floor. He's been running a lot of 5 for us in practice just to go against some of the, Travion and Zach and different lineups that we have. But, when he gets in pick and pop situations, it makes it so difficult on the big guys to go out there and guard him. And he's so mobile that, he gives you a shot fake and he could get to the rim with his athleticism too. But the thing that really surprised me about Caleb was like he really is strong. Like he's put together, strong. Yeah, he's put together for a freshman. Even Trey Kaufman is the same. They're both like they both have just like great strong bases. They both have like great balance. And I mean, if you're going against our bigs every day, like you better bring the physicality and you better hit every single time. And they've done a great job of embracing that and learning really quick. Because if you don't, you might find yourself getting hit a lot. So they've done really well.
Yeah, they're big boys, so they'll probably be able to handle themselves. And it's good insurance. I felt like watching them, and you're talking about getting big minutes. It's like, just send them in. They can get as many fouls as they want, and it'll help, Edie and Travion get a breather here and there, maybe not have to worry about the foul trouble as much, if you put them in and Painter puts them in the right spots. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. I do have to say, before I kick it over to Bobby, this is a loyal viewer in my chat. His name's Chubbs. He's a really nice guy. Nobody's perfect, though, and he's a fighting Illini fan, and he's relentless, Sasha, when it comes to talking crap. And, he's in my DMs every time Purdue loses. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest game in the world. He'll be making fun of me. So I need you to just put it on Illinois this year so I can make fun of Chubbs this year. He gets under my skin with the best of them. So
they got a good team too. They got some talent. Obviously, I just saw Kofi today with being named, I think, Player of the Year in the Big Ten, preseason Player of the Year. So we always have good games against them too, and they got some good talent. So it should be fun.
All right. So Bobby, go ahead and fire away. Now that we got Chubbs out of the way.
Yeah, just to kind of add a little bit after what Craig said, as far as, Craig was mentioning some of the freshmen. Obviously, you talked about 3 of those freshmen, really talented guys, just as a whole. And I actually mentioned to someone this the other day, my senior year, I was fortunate enough to be like our 9th man in the rotation a little bit. And I was watching your guys' scrimmages the other day, and I was like, I think I'd be like the 13th, 14th man on this team. And it just speaks to obviously how strong you guys are and how great the depth is. Yeah, great. That was one of those moments I had an opportunity to actually get a little burn.
A little better moment here.
Yeah, there we go. Sasha needs to get himself one of those Big Ten tournament trophies this year.
Yes, sir.
But no, you're right. We do have so much depth.
The depth is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that it's a good and a bad thing to have, really.
Right.
It's unfortunate because not everybody can play, and there's going to be obviously everybody wants to play, everybody wants to make a difference, and we have so many guys on our team that really can make a difference. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, every night everybody can make an impact. If you come in for 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes, like we actually just talked about that the other day, like you got to make the most of your time that you're in there and really be productive. Whatever it may be, whether it's just diving on loose balls or getting rebounds or making the open play, not turning the ball over, making shots, whatever it is, like you just do your job and your minutes are going to slowly get higher and higher and higher. But yeah, we probably have 10, 11 guys that can really go
absolutely
play high level minutes anywhere,
Right.
It's unfortunate, but like it's a great problem for us to have, that we have a lot of depth, that we have a lot of different options, a lot of different lineups that really work, and it'll be interesting to see like how we run them and how we gel, and it'll be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. These guys you got 2 bigs in there that are a lot of fun to watch, in Travion and Zach Edey. And that's certainly a luxury to have. We have a question in the chat from Brian Duggar, if I'm mispronouncing the last, Duggar or Duggar, one of the two. But he wants to know, and you've kind of maybe touched on it, but maybe there's somebody else outside of Waddle. Who has surprised you the most in practice so far?
That's a good question. We've had a lot of guys. We were just talking about it too the other day. Like every day somebody plays really well. Like, somebody else, so we do a lot of different lineups in practice, just because I'm sure Coach Payne's trying to get used to different things and he's trying to figure it out himself. But like every day somebody will have a massive day in practice, whatever it is. But I think so far, I think Zach has just killed it. Like, I think he's played so well. I think in the scrimmages, he's literally unstoppable. He's so hard to guard. But he's been really good. Like he's really, his body, he's gotten his body where he could play heavy minutes now. Like he's really in shape. He's really handling double teams very well. We double all the time in the post, and he's handling it really well. He's making the right reads and right passes where he's not turning it over as much. And he's just finishing over people, dunking everything. He's honestly made a huge step that I think he's going to be great for us this year and in the minutes that he gets. But Zach, Brandon's played really well. He's really shot the ball great these past few weeks. And Jaden, obviously, he's such a tremendous talent that he can make an impact whatever he does. So we've had a lot of guys that have played really well, and like I said, I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited to see their growth along the way this year as well, and I get to be a part of it.
Well, that would be my question to you, Sash, and then I'll kick it back to Craig. Being from the region, obviously watched you play your whole high school, and also Brandon Newman's career in high school at Valpo, a rival to Crown Point. And, I'm proud of both of you guys and proud to be from the region and watch you guys, elevate to where you're at now at Purdue. Spike Albrecht from Crown Point played at Purdue. Now he's an assistant coach at Purdue. The Purdue just has so many region roots. Glenn Robinson, the list goes on and on, Robbie Hummel. And what is it like now with Brandon, coming up? Now he's a sophomore, and you two, have known each other a long time, going back to high school days. And now you're pulling on the same rope to try to win a national championship, but you're also, this is what it is. You're fighting to compete for minutes so you can be on the floor as much as possible. And I'm sure Brandon Newman's scratching and clawing and doing everything he can to give you the business at practice so he can get the minutes that he wants. What's it like, that dichotomy, to be on the same team, pull from the same rope, but also compete against each other, for the same position in a lot of ways?
Yeah. And that's, competition breeds that excellence that you need in a great program. So it's a great, like I said, it's a great problem that we have. We're so deep, and we have a lot of guys that can play a lot of minutes in a lot of different positions. So having somebody like that, along with our other guards as well, Ethan Morton, Isaiah Thompson, and Jaden Eric, like, we have a lot of different options at that guard position that it makes you be accountable. You have to come ready every single day, because the guy next to you wants any minutes that you're going to get. And it's a great thing to have. We've been really competitive in our practices this fall and this summer as well. And we've really gotten after one another, but that was something that I think we were missing 2 years ago when we were not very good. We would have missed the tournament basically, but we didn't have that competition against one another. And then when it is competitive, it turns to, I don't know if I like that person, it turns personal. But we've really established a great culture within these past few years where it's like, we're so competitive on the floor that, we'll get into scuffles here and there. We're getting after one another. Our practices are tough. We go after one another all the time, but it's never personal. We never have any personal beef. It's right when you're done with practice, it's all love. So it's a great thing that we have within our program, and we've really brought the competition to one another this entire offseason, really, and it's going to help us, when we start getting, hopefully, when we start playing some other people.
Sure, because you guys are really whooping up on each other. We saw you at the scrimmage.
Literally, we cannot wait to play anybody else. We are so sick of each other right now. So
yeah, the friendly fire is getting tough. You're trying to get around picks, with Zach Eady's tree trunk of legs. So
yeah,
it can't be easy.
I'm yelling at Zach every day. Stop screening me. So it's fun.
Fire away, Craig.
Yeah, going into the season, obviously, a lot of hype around the team right now. 7th in the AP poll, 7th in the coaches poll. Some individual writers have you as high as 2nd. Jaden and Travion getting named preseason All-American teams. Your backup 5 getting named to a watch list. Do you guys as a team just try to tune all that out, or do you kind of take it and embrace it and say, this is who we're supposed to be, let's go get it? How do you handle all of that preseason accolades, I guess, as you go into the year?
Yeah, there's two sides of it. One, I don't pay attention to it, because those same people that are saying that we're 7th or, picked 2nd in the league or whatever, were the same people that were saying that we were 11th last year. So it is what it is. It's not really, it's not something that we really worry about or care about, really. It's very cool to be recognized. And we've really worked hard to be put in that position where, people are starting to notice that we're a pretty good team. And then on the flip side of it, we've earned that, we've earned that right. I think we have a great team, and I think, expectations are a privilege that we're really looking forward to. So, we know we have a great team. We know we have a lot of talent across the board, but we have so much to do. We have so much to work on. We're nowhere near what we need to be at that level that we want to be. We always talk about all the time, like Baylor last year was so good. Like they were another level of Baylor and Gonzaga as well. Those two teams were just such a step above everybody. And, you have to look yourself in the mirror. Like if we would have played them last year, like would we have realistically won? And we all were like, no, there's no shot, So that's the kind of level that if we want to get to the steps that we need to, I think those are kind of the models of like, hey, like can our team beat that team? If we're at that point, then then we're making strides in the right direction. So now we don't really pay attention to them. It's great to have them, but from an individual standpoint, I'm those guys have really earned it. I think those Travion, Zach, and Jaden have like really earned those accolades preseason. I think I'm really glad that people are recognizing it.
Well, I'll tell you this much: Chubbs isn't impressed in the chat. He's excited for King Kofi, but I'll tell you, Chubbs, Zach Edey, and Travion going to have something for your boy. Before I kick it to Bobby, you talk about the accolades and all the different things. You were able to be a part of the Big Ten Media Day. You and Travion and Eric Hunter, with Coach Painter, of course. What was that experience like? And does that kind of stuff? Does it, are you comfortable in those kind of scenes?
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was honestly one of the cooler experiences I've ever had when I've been here at Purdue. And yeah, I did start. I never really thought I would enjoy those interviews or talking like that, but I really find myself really enjoying just talking about basketball and everything that comes along with it, college basketball, NBA, whatever it may be. But like I could talk about that forever, and I could talk to anybody about it. So being in those like situations where you're able to talk freely about basketball and your thoughts on it and everything like that, and just talk to people that you never really thought you would talk to, it was really fun. And I'm glad that I got to do it with those guys that I've been here with for my whole time and everything like that. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I never thought, like I said earlier, like I never thought I would be able to be in those certain positions to do that, to represent our university at Big Ten Media Day. Like I barely got an offer here. Like, I don't, like, it's cool to just be part of it. And then now that I'm old enough and an older guy within the program, I'm able to do those things. So it was really fun.
Absolutely. It was cool to see. So go ahead, Bobby, and fire away, my friend.
Yeah, that looked like a neat experience for sure. So besides being a dead-eye shooter, which I, of course, love about you, one of my other favorite characteristics of your game is kind of the energy and the charisma that you bring to the table. When you're on the court, I always feel like big moments or after you hit a big shot, like you like to kind of like hype the crowd up a little bit and get everybody going. Like how stoked are you to be back playing in front of the fans? Like I feel like that's kind of I'm sure you missed that big time last year because I know how it feels like you feed off of that a lot.
Yeah.
Certainly from an energy standpoint. So just how hyped are you to get back in front of Mackey and
everybody? It makes such a difference too when you're in Mackey Arena. Like seeing it empty last year, it's
so dead last year.
It's just like practice. Like we're just practicing, But at the same time, we're in a high level game, so it's like there's two sides.
So weird.
Yeah, like you have to be ready to go, but it's like, man, like there's no juice in the arena, like and it's different too because like you have to bring it. Like you're playing against whoever, like we're playing Maryland on Christmas Day. It's like it's Christmas, we don't really want to play. Like, man, they're still good. Like we still got to win this game. It's a big deal for us, and there's nobody there. It's luckily if your family was able to come, they could come. But yeah, like I'm so excited to finally get back where, it's such a cool feeling playing in Mackey Arena. Like, every time that I shoot, I hear kind of everybody like stop for a second, and then it goes in. And it's just like everybody goes nuts. So it's like it's so cool to be a part of it, and I can't wait to hear everybody back and going crazy. I hopefully like even like the scrimmage that we have next week is going to be nuts in there too. So it's it'll be fun to just have people back and cheering for us and giving it everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited most for these freshmen that are now sophomores, to have the impact they had, on this program and to not have fans in the stands. I was lucky enough to get some media credentials last year. I don't know. The people over at Purdue are absolutely insane for allowing me in, but they did. And I was quiet. That was my that was the gift I gave back, was not yelling when you guys were doing
the mask. The mask.
Yeah, it was the mask. And we're gonna have to wear masks again this year, but hey, by all means necessary to get fans in the stands. Certainly looking forward to it. But talk about Eric Hunter. So much of the conversation is about Travion and Zach Edey and Jaden Ivey and the freshmen or now sophomores and everybody else. And I feel like Eric Hunter is the unsung hero of the team, a guy that now is a senior as well. Talk about what he brings to the table and the leadership he provides and how important that is for the team.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, nobody really gives him the recognition that he deserves. Like, he should have been all Big Ten defensive team last year, without a doubt. And I can't believe that he didn't get it. So, from that side of things, he makes people miserable on the offensive side of the floor. Like, he's just messing with them. Like, you see in that clip, he's just all over people all the time. But he runs our offense so well that he makes the right plays always. He's always talking to us, always making sure that we're in the right position to do whatever we can to succeed on both ends of the floor. But I said it last year, he gives me so much energy. I see him, he's running around, he's always doing something. He's so active on the defensive end of the floor and offensive side of the floor that when I see him doing it, I know I can't mess up because I know he's working so hard, So he's such a big part of our team, and I'm really thankful that I've been able to play with him for these last 4 years.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you guys as seniors. You were there for the March Madness run with Klein and Edwards going crazy, and you had your battle wounds the next year, and then of course last year with the rise of the freshmen, and now here you guys are, and I know you don't like to feed into the hype, that all the analysts are giving you, but at the same time, this is what you guys have built and the players before you. So I think it's just really cool that it's all culminated in your senior year to a top 10, preseason ranking. That's not something that every program gets each year. And the last time Purdue got it was 2008, right? So, that just speaks to what you guys built, as seniors on this team. And then, of course, the players before you, like Bobby, of course. So, Craig, go ahead and fire away. We'll give Sasha a couple more, and then we'll jettison him off to bed.
Yeah, I guess so. Just on a personal level, as you come into this year, obviously going into your senior year or fifth year senior, what have you been working on game wise during the off season and whatnot? Everybody knows you're a dead eye shooter, but I guess personally, what have you been trying to strive to get better at in this off season?
Yeah, just I think just kind of improving everything all around it. Obviously, everybody wants to say I struggle on the defensive end of the floor, but I've been trying to work on that side of it, and it helps going up against a lot of good guys in practice every day, and Brandon and Jaden and Ethan, I'd say Eric, Brian as well. They give me a great challenge every single day, and just working on different things. Not turning the ball over is a big thing. Just all around playmaking, I think, and within the summer, just kind of, working on my athleticism and trying to get more whatever I can in that department. I know I'm not the fastest. I know I'm not the most athletic guy, but whatever I can to help myself in that department, and just try to become an overall better player in the system. I think working on different ways that I could score within our plays and different cuts and actions where I'm able to get open looks, I think is going to be really helpful for me this year. So those are some of the things.
How hard is it to fight through screens? I'm watching the Bulls now, the uprising of the Bulls, and I watch a guy like Lonzo Ball, so good at, they try to pick and roll him, and it's just impossible. He fights through every single one, and then it makes the pick and roll null and void. And, with North Texas, that's basically all they were doing, it felt like, for the whole game, just doing pick and roll. what can you do to work on fighting through a screen? Like we were mentioning, Zach Edey and Travion are giving you the toughest ones in practice. So, what are some of the things that you try to do to get through those screens so guys can't, block you up?
Yeah, I think it's just like you have to be always like prepared. Like you have to be ready to go. Like if you can't get caught flat-footed, it's kind of what I'm saying. Like, especially ball screens. Like if you don't see something coming and you get caught behind for a second even, and you get hit by one of those guys on the screen, like you're going to be way behind, and then it's just going to be open looks everywhere. And we talk about all the time. It takes a few people to mess up on the defensive end for them to get an easy basket. And, that's already one mistake. Then somebody else has to overhelp. Then that's another mistake. And then somebody has to overhelp again, wide open three. So like, just making sure that you're ready every single play and concentrating really on your assignment on the defensive end of the floor, and people coming off of pin downs and everything, and just being ready to not get screened. And, there's different ways that we try to avoid things and whipping screens, and, if you're able to, shooting the gap and staying tight on screens or whatever it is. But like, we really work on that stuff in practice, and it also comes down to just like knowing a scouting report too. Like it really helps. Obviously we haven't gotten into that stuff because we haven't played anybody, but when you know other teams' plays, it really helps you out from that standpoint, and just being ready to attack any screen if you know it's coming. So.
Absolutely. Bobby, you got any final questions or thoughts for Sash?
Yeah, one final question. So when my 4 years as a player, I had one assistant coach who was there with me the whole time, and his name was Paul Lusk, who is now back as an assistant coach with you for your last year. What give me some insight into your experiences so far with Coach Lusk, him being back in the program. He's one of my favorite guys, so I'm really excited to, be around him a lot more this year when I travel with the team, with the radio crew. But what sort of experiences have you had with him so far from a player coach standpoint, just in the short time you guys have been together?
Yeah, you mentioned like we've had a short time together, but he really has become one of my favorite coaches I played for so far. Like he's so energetic. Like he's so really into what we're doing. And
animated.
Yeah, very animated. You're right. Like, so that's why I really appreciate that he's all in all the time, So, he's part of our, we do post perimeter breakdowns and everything. We do a lot of stuff like that. And he's our perimeter guy. So we've been, he's been working a lot with us, and just the energy he brings every single day. But like, I love just talking to him about random stuff, like just bouncing ideas about whatever, like basketball, or like just the other day we were just, my dad played at Illinois State. So we were talking about like the Valley, like we were just talking about random coaches, he played at Southern Illinois as well. So like just different players that have played in it, and like just random stuff. And it's like, it's very cool to have a person that you could just kind of talk to about whatever. When I first got there, or when we first got back in the summer, and he got there, always asking me about how my family's doing, how my dad's doing, how, whatever, just stuff like that. And it shows he genuinely cares. And I'd really just made a relationship with him in these past few months, but he really does. He seems to care a lot. So I love that he's part of our staff. I think he's going to be a great asset for us, and he's going to do some great things for us.
You ready to give Coach Shrewsbury the business when you guys go and face Penn State?
I hope so. Yeah, I talked to him actually a ton at Big Ten Media Day, and I like those guys at Penn State a lot. Like Miles Dredd and John Harrar are two guys also. Like I feel like they've been there forever too. So us older guys in the league, we're kind of all on the same page, and we're all friends. But we were talking about it, and they all seem to love Shrews, and I know they would. So yeah, it'll be cool to see him across the sideline, but I know he's going to be cooking some things up on the offensive side of the floor, so we got to be ready for him. So that'll be fun.
One final question from me. With this new found rule, the NIL rule, allowing players to promote themselves and get a little change in their pocket, off their likeness. What has that experience been like for you this off season? do you feel like it's something that all players can take advantage of, or is it something that it has to work its kinks out, so to speak? Or, how have you enjoyed, or how have you experienced this NIL so far? Because I know you've done a few promotional things here so far in the off season.
Yeah, I think it's so great. It's so tremendous that we're, players are able to make some money off of, themselves. Really, like it makes too much sense, right? Like, but yeah, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of great companies, a lot of local things, whether it's in Northwest Indiana or West Lafayette or just Indiana in general, I guess. But like, connecting with people that have like-minded values or goals or whatever, ethics or whatever it may be, has been a really cool experience for me. And I really enjoy making relationships with new people that are out for the same thing, and whether it's helping others or creating charities or whatever, just talking to people in general. I'm really excited to do those things, and it's been a great thing so far, and I'm glad a lot of our guys are taking advantage of it and doing it in the smart way as well, and not just taking the first thing that they see, and it's it could be potentially harmful to themselves and others. But I think we've done a great job of it as a team, and I think we've really put like education of it at the forefront. I think our Purdue staff and the compliance department has done a great job of giving us all the tools that we need to be successful in this space, and just learning all about all the stuff that we can about NIL, activities and everything. But it's been cool. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things in the future that it's going to be fixed and, improved upon and whatever it may be. But, there's going to be a lot of great things happening for a lot of college athletes here soon. So.
Sure. So you have, you're going to be doing live appearances at the Mad Mushroom, in West Lafayette. Maybe talk a little bit about that and tell the viewers, where they can find you next week.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a really cool thing. It's kind of going to be similar to this. So next Wednesday, I believe, the 3rd, me and Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Purdue, we're going to be doing a live radio show podcast kind of thing, very similar to this at Mad Mushroom. So they were fortunate. I'm fortunate enough to work with them where they came on as a sponsor and decided to host the radio show, where, we just go there for 30 minutes once a week throughout the entire season, just kind of talk basketball, talk Purdue, whatever, there's going to be people, people in the store are more than welcome to come in and ask questions, or I still don't really know the format. I know Tom's going to be kind of facilitating all of it. I'm just kind of there and, discussing whatever comes up. But I would love to see people there. And they kind of, I don't know if I'm teasing something, but they got like a pizza special coming out too with my name on it. So that'll be pretty cool for people to get. But yeah, it's going to be a fun thing. I got that, and I'm really looking forward to.
It's got pepperoni on it, right?
Right, I don't know.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah. How cool is it to see, your shirt? I picked one up the other day before the scrimmage. How cool is it to, go to the bookstore and see your apparel? Travion's is there, Eric Hunter's shirt's there, and see that hanging in there. Have you gotten a chance to go in there? Did you know it was hanging? And what's it like to see that?
Yeah, it's honestly been really cool. I think that's a really cool thing that they were able to do that and put it in the bookstore and right across from Mackey Arena, where people could buy our shirts now, all 3 of our shirts. But yeah, the shop Indy is a store located in Broad Ripple. I think they have another location as well in Indy, but they reached out to all of us kind of individually, and we all didn't know that we were doing it separate, and we all ended up working with the same company. So it was really cool. They made such a cool design for me where I think it was really unique. I think I had a unique drawing or whatever it is of myself, but it's so cool. I did know that they did put it in there. I talked to Laura, who runs the bookstore. We have a good relationship, so she mentioned that she was going to put a bunch in there and of all of us, and yeah, it's cool to see. I saw some people at the scrimmage wearing it. You know, I've seen some people around campus or whatever it is. Brag's got his.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it's a lot more people have got it than I thought ever would. So I'm glad people are enjoying it. But yeah, that's a really cool one that I enjoy. So if anybody wants to buy one, you know, you could go to the Shop Indie at their website, or it's in my social media bios or my links also. So if you wanted to grab one, that's they're in there.
Yeah, it's that old school caricature, you know, like some of those old Larry Bird shirts you'd get back in the day or whatever. You're too young for that. You don't remember. But
another thing too, like I'm trying out to get this another shirt or sweatshirt or another thing with all of our team, you know, on it. So I think that would be pretty cool for everybody to have. It's kind of very in the early stages. I'm still not even sure if we're able to do it, but I really wanted to do that and kind of give all the proceeds to like the Tyler Trent Foundation or something along those lines, where people could kind of have all of us on one thing, you know, going into this year. So I think that would be really cool, but that's kind of an idea. I don't know if we could do it, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be great. And, you know, for those of you that are tuned in, we do have a surprise special announcement here at Brags and Stands. Obviously, like I said, make no secret, Sasha's my boy, and I want to do something cool for him for his senior year. And, you know, he's got all these cool opportunities with different, businesses. And, you know, here at Brags and Stands, we have a shirt store where you can get mostly Bears shirts. We're trying to open our catalog to different sports now that Chicago Bulls basketball, everything's mostly Chicago except for Purdue college basketball. We keep tuned to that. So wanted to do something special for my guy here, and we are announcing and releasing our shirt, and this is going to be the design, and you can get it on the Brags in the Stands shirt store, which is located on Teespring. Search Brags in the Stands on Teespring. You can get it right here, and here it is, the Serbian Sniper. There it is in all its glory. Sash, what do you think, bud?
Man, you sent it to me today, and I was seriously like, man, that is awesome. Like, you know, it's got the Serbian flag, you know, crest and eagles on it, and the fact that you're able to kind of implement my thing onto it with the gold and black and the SS55. I think it's so cool with obviously the Serbia country outline in the background as well. So, yeah, that was such a cool thing. I'm glad that we're able to do it, and hopefully people like it. I don't, you know, you never know, but I would hope people like that, and I know my Serbian and Orthodox community is going to really enjoy that.
Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of Stefanoviches will be picking this up. You guys are proud Serbians, but I do have to give a shout out to my co-host and producer here, and help me build this show to what it is. My good friend Jake, he's a graphic designer extraordinaire, to put it mildly, a magician. He's what made all the graphics for my show and the logo for my show, and he put this together on his own time, and really, really came out well. I gave him some little thoughts, and he's just able to take that and put his own fingerprint on it. So shout out to Jake for his hard work and amazing craftsmanship. The ultimate graphic designer, my guy Jake. So you can get this shirt here very soon on our store. Like I said, you see that at the bottom of the screen where you can find it at teespring.com/store/Brags in the Stands, and pick up your Serbian Sniper shirt here very soon, so you can rock it at Mackey. We'll be sending one here to our boy Sasha very soon. So I think that about wraps things up here tonight. Want to, or at least for Sash, send him home packing so he can get to bed or do homework or whatever he's got to do. Bulls game's on tomorrow night. I had to make sure I didn't take up a Bulls game night. So
yeah, true.
They're looking good, man.
I'm locked in, man.
They are looking good.
Yeah.
Got D Rose in the house tomorrow night. So thanks again, Sash, for all your time. Best of luck here in this upcoming season. Look forward to hearing you on these different podcasts and everything else, but most importantly, look forward to seeing you on the court at a house rocking at Mackey Arena very soon, 1 week away from the exhibition.
No doubt. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the questions and everything. Greg, thank you for having me on.
Of course. Yeah, next time we'll do the rapid fire with Bobby that is so rapid.
Yeah, no problem.
But you got to get to bed. It'll be midnight if we do the rapid fire with Bobby.
I could talk forever about basketball. So anytime.
All right. Well, maybe we'll bring you back on at some point in the season, but let you get back to the books, hitting them books and hitting the court. So have fun. Best of luck, and we'll see you here real soon.
All right, fellas. See ya.
That is Sasha Stefanovic, senior guard for your Purdue Boilermakers. And then there were three. And like I said, obviously the interview went plenty long with Sasha. So you guys are welcome to say I'm out at any point. But I figured with Bobby now here, an analyst to the team, we could do a few more questions as far as to Bobby, me and you, Craig, as far as expectations for the season. I don't want to put Sasha on the spot with some of those things. You got Chubbs in the chat talking about who's going to be Big Ten Player of the Year and things like that. That's not, to me, questions that are any of Sasha's concern, but certainly want to hear the opinion of one Bobby Riddell, now in his second season as the color analyst for your Purdue Boilermakers. So, I'll kick it off and then I'll let you take the ball from me, Craig. But Bobby, with the way the season ended, and we touched on it with Sasha and the disappointment of losing to North Texas, and now all this hype, like we talked about, number 7 in the country. How many times has Purdue been in the top 5? They've never been number 1 in the nation, and these are things that are within their sights. How hard is it going to be for these guys to maintain their focus and take that next step? You got all this hype. You got the crowd going crazy now. All these distractions. You got shirts and all these different things and podcasts and everything going on. All these people pulling at you. How are these guys going to be able to maintain that stuff and also take that next step basketball as far as basketball on the court?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of moving parts this year, but sky's the limit for this team. Pretty much anything you want on a roster, they have it. We spoke about the depth earlier. That's certainly not going to be a problem. They're loaded from that standpoint, and they got a lot of top-end talent, and they got a lot of really good role players that know their role and are going to do it to the best of their ability, like Sasha, as far as, his role as being a guy who's a dead-eye shooter, going to space the floor offensively, is a really good interior passer. With Zach Edey and Travion Williams, he's going to be a guy feeding those guys in the post a lot. And then, on the defensive end, that's not his calling card, but he's a guy who gets after it. He plays with a lot of passion on that side of the floor. And so he likes to hop into passing lanes from time to time and be disruptive on that side as well. So, there's just a lot of depth, but, as far as motivation for them, the way the season ended last year, that's an extreme amount of motivation for them going into this season. They're really going to have to take every one of these games seriously this year because, as we talked about, sky's the limit. They're going to really want to have Final Four national championship aspirations this year, which they should. And if that's the case, as we know with the NCAA tournament, seeding is extremely important. If you get a 1 or 2 seed, you're going to give yourself a better chance to make a deep run. And so from the get-go this year, every game is important because every game is going to have seeding implications when it gets to March. And so they're going to have their eye on the prize. And granted, you got to still take it one game at a time. But the nice thing about the depth they have this year, sometimes too much depth can be a problem as far as roles and minutes. But the one luxury Coach Payne's going to have is if somebody goes into the game and they're not bringing it that night, all right, we got someone else to go in the game who's going to bring it because, energy and effort is something lack of energy and effort is something Coach Painter never tolerates. And that's not going to be a problem this year because there'll be someone ready to go in the game and give that type of energy.
Absolutely. My guy Taco Grease said he's late. He's a diehard Purdue fan from the region as well. You're not too late, though, because we're going to fire a few more questions here to Bobby Riddell, color analyst for the radio side of things for Purdue men's basketball. So you're not too late here. And Craig, go ahead and fire away with whatever you got for Bob.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, as we got kind of towards the end of last year, as we look past like the last 3 or 4 years, Painter's kind of shifted this offense a couple of different times where, they were in the top 16 in 3-point shots made 1 year. And then 2 years later, they lead the country in post touches and kind of completely opposite. And at the end of last year, we started to see maybe the ball in Ivy's hand and running some high pick and roll situations a little bit more. I'm kind of curious to see how this offense maybe morphs or shifts just a little bit coming into this year. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's something Coach Painter's really done a nice job the last handful of years, is really morphing his offense to emphasize his best players and most talented players and trying to use their strengths. Obviously, a lot of it over the last 10 years or so has been featured around big guys. They've had just a bunch of really talented bigs, maybe not as many talented ball handlers as far as creating offense. As far as like ball screen offense, the last guy that they really did a lot of that with was like Lewis Jackson. Carson Edwards certainly had some of that, but he did a lot of, him and Ryan Klein, a lot of that offense was driven off of them running around screens and pin downs. And then once they got the ball in their hands, shooting or making the right play. But like you said, Jaden, towards the end of last season, I think Coach finally had enough confidence in him, and he had shown Coach enough that, not only is he going to try to throw the ball into Travion and Zach and run some of their other traditional stuff for guys like Sasha to shoot and Brandon Newman to shoot threes, but we got to get the ball in this guy's hand named Jaden Ivey, because he's really coming on the scene and obviously has an amazing ability to get to the rim. As you can see right there in that clip, his first step is one of the best in the country. And I think Coach Payne is going to have the ball in his hands a lot more in the half court this year than he did last year. And like you said, some of that started to happen towards the end of the season and into the Big Ten and NCAA tournament games. But I think you're going to see a heavy diet of him in the half court with the ball in his hands, trying to make the right play for himself and others.
Yeah, that's definitely somewhere where my headspace is at. Because, when Carson Edwards and Ryan Klein were here, they would let Carson bring it up, but mostly Klein brought it up a lot of the time. And then they'd run their set to free one of those guys open for a three. But it did surprise me last year when Coach Painter, because he's just, to me, he's very for his system. Like Sasha talks about, it takes years to learn it, on both sides of the ball. And they kind of stick to what they do and try to perfect that. But they did. They started to go to one-on-one, like you guys are mentioning, and going to the top of the key and pick and roll and letting Jaden either drive or dish. And that is something I'm interested to see, Bobby. Do you think that we'll see, with all due respect to other guys on the team, but as far as, because we know that Sash and Brandon are dead-eye shooters, and a lot of these guys are capable of knocking down a 3-2, but that's where I'm looking is, you think we'll see, Eric's going to run the point for the majority of games, I would feel like, to control the pace. But do you think we'll see more of that with Jaden Ivey at the top of the key and let two guys on the wing be those knockdown shooters and then spread that out to help the bigs? To me, that's going to give them as much spacing as they possibly need.
Absolutely. I think you're going to see a very similar situation that kind of played out with a guy I played with, Etwan Moore, who's been a long
another
time
region rat. Thank
another
you
region
very
rat
much.
as well. Yep, Etwan Moore, just a stud in his own right. And when he was there, he played, the shooting guard position, which is what Jaden plays. And even though not the point guard, when I was there, Keaton Grant or Lewis Jackson, those guys a lot of times would bring the ball to court, Chris Kramer maybe. But then the ball would get put in Etwan's hands, and there was a play we ran all the time, and we had a number of different variations of the play to keep defenses honest. But that play always pretty much started with Etwan Moore with the ball on the wing, and there was a lot of ball screen action, a lot of diving with the big, lifting with Robbie Hummel from behind for shooting purposes, maybe a lob to Juwan, or obviously Etwan. He has such a great mid-range float game, shoot a floater, maybe stop back behind the ball screen, shoot a three. So the ball was in Etwan's hands a lot, making plays for himself or others in the half court, even though he wasn't the traditional point guard as far as maybe a guy who's getting the outlet a lot and pushing in transition or starting to play at the top of the key. He still ended up being a big decision maker. And I think Jaden from that two guard spot is going to have the same sort of situation where he might not bring the ball up the court, but as far as once it's time to start initiating offense, he's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands.
Well, I appreciate that. No, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And another guy you talk about, the lobs. The lobs are going to be very, very plentiful for Zach E this year. I mean, Sasha touched on it. he's unstoppable at scrimmage. I think they did the scrimmage where fans weren't in attendance, and I think he was like 16 of 18.
Yeah, I was there. He was a monster.
I mean, it's just to watch his evolution, a guy that didn't pick up a basketball. I mean, the story's been told a million times, but didn't pick up a basketball until like his sophomore year of high school, played hockey the majority of his life. And then they were like, here's a basketball. It will make you a lot of money one day. And, here he is. How impressed have you been with his evolution? This guy that's supposed to be raw, and he's a knockdown free throw shooter. He's got great hands, great feet. And now he's out there dominating scrimmages as a sophomore. They had, all Big Ten, and I was looking through the list, and I love all those guys, and all due respect to everyone on that list. But do you think there's a chance that Zach Edey could find his way into that kind of category here in the Big Ten?
There's certainly a chance. I mean, unfortunately for both Zach and Travion, they're both such good players. And, I know there's been a lot of talk about them maybe trying to play some together, and Coach may certainly try to do that in some particular matchups. But I think for the most part, and a lot of that has to do with just because we have a lot of other talented players who can play the 4 position with Caleb First, Mason Gillis, Trey Kaufman-Renn. I think you're basically going to see, for the most part, Travion and Zach splitting the center minutes. And whether that ends up being a 20-20 split or 25-15, however it goes. Last year it was more 25-15 with Travion having 25. Certainly this year, with the way Zach's been coming on, that certainly may trend closer to 20-20, but we'll see. So unfortunately for them, from like a award standpoint, from a numbers standpoint, they may cannibalize each other a little bit because neither one may end up playing, 30 to 35 minutes per game. But from a Purdue standpoint, it may be the best thing because, obviously there's always times there could be foul trouble, but if they're playing split minutes, you're basically never going to have a guy out there tired and exhausted. So either one of those guys who's on the floor should be able to give it 110% and should be able to give the opposing defense a lot of problems. And Zach, in particular, like you said, it's really fascinating. Typically you think play a sport for a long time and then you'll be elite at it after all those years of practice. And he turns out to be somebody who played a lot of other different sports, and that allowed him to work on his feet and his hand-eye coordination and other sorts of things, to where when basketball was thrown on him at a later stage of his life, he picked it up pretty quickly. And it really is amazing to see how quickly he's picked it up. And like you said, just so amazed by his soft touch and his feel. In that scrimmage the other day, he was just, some guys like Sasha get a little bit more energetic. Travion at times, like he reminds me of like the Terminator, because he's just like, he doesn't even smile.
Or Ivan Drago, maybe.
Yeah, very Ivan Drago. Like, I'm gonna dunk on you. I'm gonna deep post on you. They're gonna throw it to me. I'm gonna lay it in or dunk on you. Then I'm gonna do it again. And like, it was really impressive. And he seems like a very likable guy. I look forward to hopefully getting to know him better this year. And I look forward to seeing his continued progress, because like Sasha said, looks like he's made a huge jump from year 1 to year 2.
He's definitely a very friendly guy. I got this picture at Family Day. This is my daughter, Addison. And it's just Addison was just mind blown by it. And Zach couldn't have been nicer. I'm sure he gets these requests all the time, but all-time great picture. I'm going to find a way to hang that. I got to find a big wall in my house to hang that in, but really, really nice guy. And one more follow-up question to that, and then I'll kick it back to Craig with, try to wrap this up. I don't want to keep either of you too late, but, all the talk too. I heard a great answer from Matt Painter. I wish I would have pulled it, but I didn't have time in my prep, where Painter talked about how hard it is to play both of them at the same time. You hear a lot of fans calling for that. Although we have seen him play 2 bigs at the same time in the past with Matt Harms and, Travion, or Matt Harms and, who was the prior center, Haas, together. Right. So
Swanigan, Haas a little bit. Yeah.
Right. So exactly. And then in the scrimmage that was open to fans, we saw some times where they were out there together. What kind of situations do you think they'd be able to use that in? I know Painter said you got to be careful with doing that because you can get fast breaks going the other way in no time. Is that going to be a tool that they could potentially use maybe down the stretch where games kind of turn into more of a half court? Or do you think that's something that Painter won't dip into the well too much?
Yeah, that's a good call. I don't think it's going to be something he dips into too much just because of all the things that he mentioned from a liability standpoint. But what you just said right there, as far as late in games, I think from he likes to do a lot of that offense for defense type of stuff late in games when you got a lot of stoppages. And when he usually likes to try to save a lot of his timeouts late in games so he can do those sorts of things from like an offense defense standpoint or drawing up a play. I think you could definitely see a lot of it maybe late in game. We need a bucket. Here's a wrinkle we can throw at somebody. We got these two stud bigs. We'll post them both up, put them in a bind. Obviously, if they have their 4-man guarding Travion, if they don't double Travion, he's going to probably, punish most opposing teams' 4s. And then Zach, obviously, if they don't double him, then he could score as well. So it's certainly, a little high-low action. I could see Coach certainly going to that as more of like a wrinkle, maybe late in game, like you mentioned. And then the other situation would maybe be, I remember when we played Virginia in the Elite Eight, they did play Travion and Harms together some in that game.
Right.
Virginia went big, started to kind of have a rebounding edge. And so maybe just to help out from a rebounding standpoint sometimes against maybe bigger opponents potentially. But the thing is, he's got some, Trey Kaufman-Renn, like I saw the team picture the other day and I was like, wow, Caleb Furst and Trey Kaufman-Renn are big dudes. Obviously they are dwarfed by Zach Edey. Zach is just, it's amazing how big Zach is. Of course.
Kaufman-Renn's a little taller than Travion.
Right. So those guys are big guys at the 4 spot. So, they're probably going to be able to rebound, even though they're freshmen. They're tall. They're filled out pretty well for freshmen. They're going to rebound for their position pretty well, I presume. So, yeah, I don't think it's something we're going to see all that much, but time will tell.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to it. And if all else fails, send out the freshmen to just hack some people. You need somebody to get hacked in the lane. Get out there, freshmen. Go ahead and get us some fouls. So Edey and Travion don't have to do it. Craig, right. I'm going to kick it over to you. You got some fans in the chat. Mallory's in the chat. She's excited to see you here on Brags in the Stands here tonight. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Go ahead and fire away, Craig.
Yeah, that's my daughter. She's happy to be watching here. But, yeah, you mentioned, playing Travion and Zach together. And even in that first scrimmage where they did that a little bit, and the fans get really excited about it. But if you go back and look at the stats from that time, I think Caleb and Trey actually outscored the duo of Zach and Travion during that time. So there is some trade-offs there, I think, no doubt. But I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask, Bobby, is we focus on Jaden, we focus on Zach in terms of the freshmen that are coming into sophomores and whatnot. But I feel like Brandon's getting lost in this. Like that dude, in my mind, in my lifetime as a Purdue fan, that dude has maybe the prettiest stroke I've seen. And the only other one I can think of is the Stevens kid. Oh, I'm sorry. And you, of course. The Stevens kid that transferred, like those
Kendall
two
Stevens.
strokes. Yeah, Kendall. Those two strokes to me just stick out as just pretty. Is he getting lost in all this? Because I think he could have a big year.
No, it's funny you say that because, yeah, every time Brandon shoots, I'm just like in love with his jumper. Like you said, pretty stroke. He reminds me a lot of Klay Thompson from like a form standpoint. Just so pretty, textbook. I'm super stunned when that dude misses. He unfortunately late in the season last year, jumped between starting, come off the bench. He kind of struggled a little bit with his shot late in the season. That was certainly something that did hurt Purdue a little bit down the stretch. But yeah, I expect really big things from him. He shot the ball really well in both the scrimmages I've gone to. Just such a pretty stroke, smooth. Got a really nice mid-range jumper as well, besides the 3-ball. I think defensively this year can take it up another level. He's a very good athlete, long arms, showed a lot of – he blocked – I remember he had a number of blocked shots like on 3-pointers last year where I was like he would come out, Jaden, same thing, but Brandon would come out of nowhere and block a shot. And, it's just not often you see 3-pointers get blocked, and he, was blocking a number of them. So he obviously has got a knack for that. So I think, him, Jaden, and Hunter, like, for instance, when those three are on the court together, you could have a really amazing defensive backcourt. And, yeah, Brandon certainly is getting lost a little bit in the shuffle. He's obviously not as talented off the dribble as like Jaden, but if he picks his spots, he can certainly have his moments there. But he's really going to just have to probably fill a little bit more of a role. Next year he might be able to blossom into more of a focal point offensively. But this year with Jaden, with Travion and Zach, he's going to have to pick his spots and play off those guys. But he should get a number of open opportunities to stroke the basketball from deep, playing around those guys.
Yeah, I mean, with a shot like that, the same with Sash, guys like that, you're going to find time on the court when you can shoot like that in Painter's offense, especially with the bigs they got, creating that kind of space for a shooter like Brandon Newman. As like I said, being a lifer of the region, couldn't be more proud of Brandon Newman and Sasha Stefanovic. These two, worked their butts off to get to this point. And, being from the region, a lot of times your odds are stacked against you. Nobody pays attention to us up here. We're the forgotten town in Indiana. So it's nice that Painter keeps the region in mind when he's trying to find talent. Certainly grateful for that because it's a lot of fun to watch these guys grow on this team. A guy that didn't get a chance to grow on this team last year with all the freshmen doing so great was Ethan Morton, and saw a little bit of him at the scrimmage, facilitated a pass, as I've shown the clip a few times of Brandon knocking down the shot. You see Ethan throw the pass ahead to him. How is Ethan Morton assimilating here as a sophomore? And, how's he fighting, to get his minutes here? And how hard is it for someone like that? He's the first ever top 50 out-of-state recruit to come to Purdue, had a huge resume, a huge, career in Pennsylvania. And now he's on this, star-studded team. And you got to fight your way to get minutes, and how has that transition been for him? Do you notice kind of his mentality or as far as how he carries himself and what stands out to you as far as the potential for Ethan Morton here in his sophomore year?
Yeah, last year he, like you said, just a really rough year for him, just getting what did he got he didn't get coronavirus like Sasha. He got what was the other
pneumonia, right?
Or it's like called the kissing disease or whatever. I'm blanking on it now, but yeah, he got really sick before the season.
He got
mono. That's right.
Yep.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. And yeah, with him getting that last year, it really slowed him down. I was talking with the trainer about that the other day, and he just mentioned how he was never really able to recover from that as far as getting in the flow of things, and obviously like Brandon and some of these other guys, probably gonna have to wait another year or so until he gets more of a leading role with just how many talented guys they have and upperclassmen they already have in the system. And so from what I've seen from him from the first couple scrimmages this year, he's looked really good. He looks more confident and more assertive. I think last year, certainly as a freshman, he lacked some assertiveness when he got into the games. And it's tough, when you're a role player playing limited minutes to always have the confidence to come in and be assertive. But as you mentioned, a very, very acclaimed player coming out of Pennsylvania. I mean, you win the Pennsylvania Player of the Year. That's no small feat for sure. That's a great state with a lot of great basketball players. So I think he just needs to continue to grow confidence in himself at this level. The speed of the game is a big change for seniors in high schools coming to freshmen, and he's obviously now acclimated to that. And I think he's played pretty well in the scrimmages. He's one of those guys that can be a big asset when you're playing on a team with a lot of other talented players around you, because obviously there's only one basketball.
Right.
Not everybody can take every shot, and he's a guy who's more of a pass first type of player. And he could be a really nice role player where he's, that maybe the fifth option out on the court offensively, but he's a ball mover. He's getting the ball out of his hands. I'm sure he's someone like as a shooter, I would love to play with him because he's probably always looking to make that extra pass to you. I'm sure Sasha really enjoys playing with Ethan. And so we'll see what sort of role he's going to be able to carve out this year. With 11 scholarship players, Brian Waddell redshirting, there's 11 scholarship players who are going to be vying for big minutes this year. And, typically you end up seeing about a 9-man rotation, when you get to conference play. Coach Painter usually tries to settle in with no more than 9. So technically that leaves 2 people on the outside looking in when it comes to getting minutes in the rotation. So it's going to be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. And hopefully everyone's pulling in the right direction, and hopefully there's a lot of winning, which winning cures all, as we know. So
sure.
Unfortunately for some, I don't know if it's going to be Ethan. Who knows who it's going to be? Somebody might get left out a little bit from a minute standpoint, but I do think Ethan has made nice strides from what I've seen so far, from his freshman to his sophomore year, and hopefully for him, he's able to crack into the rotation a little bit and add a spark off the bench.
What can these guys all learn from Isaiah Thompson? A guy that doesn't get many minutes. He's been on a lot of, he's gotten, a lot of different roles here in the last few years as a junior now. And he doesn't always get those opportunities, but when they call on him, he's always ready. He provides that spark, even if he's been waiting his turn for 2 games. What can Ethan Morton or Brandon or any of these guys really, because like you said, the rotations are going to be all over the place and guys are going to have to fight for their minutes. What can these guys all learn from a guy like Isaiah Thompson?
Yeah, Isaiah is a guy who's got experience. He's one of the few guys that's played in front of crowds, and he's got a lot of experience being around the program with his older brother playing before him. And he's just super steady, super solid, not a flashy player from a style of play standpoint, but, doesn't turn the ball over, makes open shots at a high clip. I think he's shot over 40% from 3 both of his 2 seasons playing or close to. So he's a very dependable outside shooter. And obviously, with the team struggling overall to shoot the 3 ball last year, basically you had Isaiah, Sasha, and Brandon as kind of the 3 dependable 40% or better 3-point shooters. And, Isaiah is definitely going to have a role there as far as surrounding these talented players that are going to command a lot of attention with guys that can make shots if the defense overcommits. And so that's where Isaiah has, certainly a chance to carve out a role on this team as well. He's a scrappy defender, moves his feet well, can guard other teams' point guards pretty well. Obviously, he's a little undersized. I know that life as far as being undersized. He's a little bigger than me, but that's a tough place to be at times from a defensive standpoint. But he plays extremely hard and he moves his feet well, and so he can be a valuable defender from that standpoint as well when he's in the game. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. But I think certainly a lot of the guys on the team can look to him as being a steadying influence as far as playing his role.
Yeah, I really respect his game a lot because, like I said, his opportunities are limited at times. But sometimes, like when the bullets are flying sometimes and there's chaos and the team seems like they're melting down, he'd come in and he'll knock down a big shot. It doesn't seem like – yeah, no moment's too big for him. And obviously PJ putting him through the grinder, facing him one-on-one at practice, I'm sure did the trick. But I just respect Isaiah Thompson's game quite a bit. And I just feel like a guy like Ethan and others can learn a lot from Isaiah and the way he carries himself and the way he always is ready, stays ready when his number is called. So Craig, do you have any final questions, as we start to wrap this thing up and put a bow on it?
Yeah, I'll just ask one more. And Greg, I know you're kind of a more recent Purdue fan. You got brought in by Sasha, but
yes,
Bobby, can you remember when's the last time that you remember this much kind of palpable anticipation from the Purdue fan base? Is it going back to the baby Boilers? Is it before then?
It's probably after my senior year, leading into that junior year for Jawan, Etuan, and Robbie, Kramer, and Keaton Grant as seniors. I think there was quite a bit of buzz that season. Certainly, my senior year, we won the Big Ten tournament, went to the Sweet 16, gave UConn a pretty good game in that Sweet 16, and there was a lot of basically everybody was coming back outside of a couple guys in my class, and all the super important pieces were coming back for the following year. So there was a lot of buzz that year. Obviously, I was a grad assistant that year, so I was kind of still around the program. Social media and all that stuff wasn't what it was today, right. So you couldn't quite get as much content. But it felt like a huge, season. I remember feeling like there was a lot of expectations. Before then, maybe Brian Cardinal and there, going into Brian Cardinal's senior year with Ron Cornell and Mike Robinson, some of those guys, I'm sure there was a lot of expectation that year. But
Glenn Robinson years.
Yeah, certainly. I'm sure the Glenn Robinson junior year was probably they were pretty excited about that season, I'm sure. But
I think it's definitely real. And with this last season and not being able to go to games, that the first big game at Mackey, I just,
it's gonna be awful.
Yeah.
Like, I got butterflies just thinking about calling the game in Mackey with it being full capacity, because like I just know how special Mackey is and how crazy it is. Like, my dad and I would go to every game over the last handful of years since I've graduated, and I just like would always look forward to, I'm a Purdue. The fact that I got to play for the team was amazing because I grew up a Purdue fan, so I'm a Purdue fan more than anything, and so I always just relish those opportunities to get Mackey. And I think it's just gotten even crazier since I played, for instance. It's just like an unbelievable home court advantage. And so, like you said, now a year post-pandemic with no fans being able to go last year and the anticipation of a team this good, Mackey is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm lucky. The first year I was season ticket holder, Carson Edwards, Ryan Klein going crazy. They win the Big Ten championship. They didn't lose. I was season ticket holder. They didn't lose one game at home. I was like, this is easy. Come on now. What's everybody? Everybody's always walking on eggshells around here. I'm like, this is great. You guys are fine. And then when they lost to Virginia, we were in Florida at the time, and I didn't come out of my room for 2 days, and I learned a hard lesson. There was 2 things that happened that offseason or that winter, the double doink, and then 2 months later, the loss to Virginia, and my heart about ripped out of my chest. But, it's been a lot of fun becoming, this newfound Purdue glory here, and I appreciate Sasha bringing me to the right side of things, getting to know Bobby and everybody else, and it's really cool this senior year. It like for me, just chronicling Sasha's career going into high school was the same thing. They built all the way up, and then their senior year they were loaded, and they fell short, of course. And nothing. Not everyone gets to win the championship, so somebody's got to go down. But it's the kind of same thing. The way they've kind of stair climbed the ladder, and I'm excited to see where this can go. There's little bookmarks. I don't tell Sasha none of these things. I don't want it. I don't bug him, but like they've never been number one in the country. They have an opportunity. Like to me, they have an opportunity to get there. I know we got some guys in the chat saying, hey, you guys went crazy last year and they lost in the first round. Well, this is what sports is all about. It's about having fun with it. And the hype is real with this team. They're loaded. And I can't wait to see what accomplishments they can achieve this year, from that to winning another Big Ten title to, advancing far into the tournament and seeing just how far this team can go. Because, they're hungry. They're, to lose like they did to North Texas was brutal for them. And I know how hungry a guy like Jaden Ivey, Travion Williams, if you watched his will to win last year when the chips were stacked against them in games, the Michigan State game, the way he brings them back. It's exciting time. So I'm excited for Purdue fans, excited for you, Bobby, and excited for these freshmen to see Mackey Arena loaded. It's just going to be fun all the way around. And I'm looking forward to covering it here at Bragg's in the Stands. And maybe we'll bring you on here more this year, bug you a few more times than we normally do, and talk about some games and break some stuff down, bring Craig back on. But, Bobby, we really appreciate your time, all the time you give us here. And I appreciate, I'm looking forward to bugging you some more when we get to Mackey. I'm always sniping you at some point, stalking you somewhere behind. You never know where I'm lurking, but I'm coming for you, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this season as well. And, I look forward to seeing you at Mackey. You'll have to find me for sure. And
absolutely.
Yeah, should be a fun
I didn't
season.
want to bug you last year with COVID and everything else, keep our distancing. But we got to get a picture this year for sure, my man.
There we go.
So, all right, we'll cut you loose first, Bobby. That is Bobby Riddell from Purdue men's basketball, color analyst for the radio side of things. And make sure you're tuning into the radio broadcast and their post-game breakdowns as soon as each game ends. I'm always trying to rush to my car so I can hear you and Rob Blackman's thoughts. You guys are as good as it gets.
Thanks, fellas. Nice chatting with you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Bobby Riddell, Purdue men's basketball radio color analyst. And then there were 2. Craig, any final thoughts before I cut you loose? It's been a long show here. almost made it to the 2-hour mark, but a lot of good Purdue basketball talk. Wanted to get a show in before the season got started. Wanted to do it where it wasn't too close up against the season. I know Sasha's a busy man, so wanted to get it in. Appreciate you coming in on a short notice.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and nothing more that I love to do than talk Purdue sports and specifically Purdue basketball. So, man, like I was telling him, from running that group with 6,000 plus Purdue fans and Boiler diehards, the anticipation for this season is real, and the fans are super excited to see what happens. And I think there's potential for this team to go to new heights, and certainly look forward to continue talking about it. And I'm glad that I got the chance to hop on here with you tonight.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely do it more here as the season progresses. I'm done talking about the Chicago Bears. I'm not doing another damn show about them until they start making some changes in that house. I might go to a couple more games, but I'll tell you what, be hard pressed to hear me talk about them. It's all basketball all day here now. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan as well. So,
man, there's still quite a bit of a season left there for you, though.
I know. Don't remind me, Craig. Don't remind me. Are you a Colts fan or are you a Bears fan?
I'm not really a big NFL fan.
Okay.
I was a big Colts fan, but just don't watch the NFL all that much anymore. My cousin's an Ohio State alum, though, that was around the program a little bit, and he's a big Justin Fields fan. So I see a little bit here and there from him, I guess, about what's going on.
I'm sure he's not too thrilled with how Nagy's not helping Justin Fields at all. You know how he could help, how they could help Justin is, last year I was banging the table to bring Rondale Moore to Chicago. Guy was electric for the Purdue Boilermakers. And now another player that's just as electric at the wide receiver position, David Bell, who I've actually never seen live play football, but I did go watch him at semi-state his senior year play basketball and end Romeo Langford's illustrious high school career here in the state of Indiana, which is no small feat here. When you talk about Romeo Langford's career, and he hits the game-winning shot, and the crowd went bananas. And I went up to him after the game, shook his hand. I said, I came down here for Romeo Langford, and I got to know David Bell. And now here he is ascending to NFL-level talent. Where do you think, with one Purdue football question in here, do you think he's a first-round pick or a second-round pick? I was going to talk Bears, and now here I am talking freaking Bears.
I haven't seen many projections that have him first round. The ones that I have him like late first round. Most of them I've seen, it's like late first to late second, and a few deeper than that. But man, I think that guy's just silky smooth. And when he gets in a situation where he's not getting doubled, like he is right now, or getting bracket coverage like he did in that last game, I think that guy, they talk about his speed being a little bit of an issue. I think he runs like a 4.55, but he changes direction without losing speed. And to me, that's how he gets open in space and finds his spots. And I think he's the type of guy that, maybe he's not first option wide receiver number one, but I think he's the type of dude that can go out and have a really long NFL career and be productive because of the type of the way he plays.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that the Bears don't pass this time on the wide receiver from Purdue. Let's help our quarterback out here in Chicago. But again, no more football talk. It's all basketball here at Braggs in the Stands now. I'm going to the Bulls game tomorrow night. Bulls Knicks, Derrick Rose in the house, Joe Kim Noah night. And then we got Purdue kicking things off next week. You going to be at the game for the exhibition?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm planning to be. So I hope to be there for sure. Yeah. So, hey, first time in a while, you get to be excited about the Bulls, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball are very impressive basketball players, and DeMar DeRozan. Talk about a guy that can really anchor your offense and help Zach LaVine out. They go to him, isolate him. He knows where to get to his spots. Knockdown, mid-range shooter. So they got some things cooking for them. Now they have a 13-game stretch, I believe, against teams that made the playoffs last year, starting tomorrow night. So we'll find out exactly what they're all about, being one of the only two teams that are undefeated in the NBA right now at 4-0. So excited to see what the Bulls got. But The Purdue is at the top of the list. I was telling people a couple weeks ago, even when Justin was in and doing well against, I was like, the thing I'm most looking forward to this year is Purdue basketball. And it's going to be so much fun to see how this goes. And we'll break it all down here and talk about it, give you inside looks. All the shots you've seen tonight are shots I've taken. And I'm going to try to capture the moments with the crowd going wild instead of an empty library of a building like it was last year. Very eerie to see that. So it'll be exciting to capture footage with the crowd going absolutely berserk. Sometimes it'll mess up my shot, but I like it that way because then you really get the feel of the fans in the stands. And that's what this show is all about is seeing it from the fans' perspective. So appreciate you bringing your perspective tonight. I need all the help I can get as being a new Boilermaker here, Boilermaker fan. So appreciate you and look forward to meeting you in person. Appreciate you reaching out here a month ago and glad we could do this tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll catch you at a game sometime this season.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it up again here sometime soon, talk some more Purdue basketball. So
sounds good.
All right, Craig. Well, boiler up, and we'll talk soon.
All right, hammer down.
There we go. That is Craig Bowers. Guy really, really is a diehard Purdue fan, runs Purdue basketball or Purdue sports Facebook group with a lot of different followers. And he was nice enough to let me share some of my content along last year. I know some of those Facebook groups sometimes can, they don't love when newcomers come in and just start splashing all their stuff onto their page. So he was very gracious in allowing me to share some of my stuff, try to spread, some of the content I bring, because I know a lot of people know me for what I do with the Chicago Bears and Chicago sports in general, but I cover where I'm at, and I'm going to be at Mackey Arena a lot this year. Come find me in the stands if you're watching this still, and come find me with my Serbian sniper shirt. Sasha was sharing it along on his Instagram page. Very excited to debut this on the Brags in the Stands shop, our first apparel outside of Chicago Bears oriented stuff on our Brags and Stands shirt store. And you can find the Serbian sniper shirt very soon on our Teesprings page, teespring.com/stores/Brags in the Stands. Again, shout out to our guy, Jake, producer and co-host here at Brags in the Stands, and my good friend. Put a lot of hard work into this and great creativity, as always, from Jake, and can't thank him enough for everything he does here to help lift this show up. So thanks again to you, Jake. And there it is, the Serbian sniper shirt. Excited to hear what Sasha's mom, I know she's going to be excited to see this. They're very proud Serbians. So Taco Grease, you will get invited to a game. So, because here's the thing, I've got season tickets. Maybe I might get a media pass here and there. I want to go as a fan a lot this year. Last year I got to be lucky enough to get media credentials to some games, a handful of games last year, which I was honored to be able to do that. And I appreciate Purdue for allowing me to get media credentials. Very cool experience. First time ever getting college credentials to any kind of sports in that regard. And can't thank them enough for that. Try to maybe get a few credentials this year, but want to go as a fan because I want to be able to pound my chest and go crazy every time the Purdue Boilermakers do something big. Jaden throws one down, Newman and Sash splashing from the 3-point arc, or Zach Edey dunking on somebody. I'm at the end of the day, I'm a fan in the stands. Play the media game a little bit, but in my heart, where my heartstrings are tugged, is being a fan and going crazy with the rest of you in the stands. So that's what it's all about here at Brags in the Stands. So I look forward to returning to Mackey Arena, a full house at Mackey Arena. Very, very much so. So, like I said, Taco Grease, I'm a season ticket holder. And, there were times, a couple years ago when we were able to go to games where I'm trying to find somebody to go to the game with me. I got another buddy, Eric, who's a diehard Purdue fan, actually went to Purdue. And every time I call him, he's always got something to do. And he can't go. So maybe, Taco, you will start to get the first call instead of Eric, since he's ungrateful. Every time I call him, he can't go. And I always tell him, like, hey, this is the last time I'm calling you because I get tired of being rejected. So, if I call you, you better not reject me because I don't handle rejection well, as Chubbs will let you know. Because I know Chubbs is going to be in my DMs every time Purdue loses. And I'm looking forward to our back and forth this year, a little more than normal because, I think we're going to be the strong arm of the Big Ten. But we're going to find out here very soon. Yeah, it is crazy. Well, my mom and I share the season tickets. And someone's got to stay home and watch Addison. We can't, I'm always leaving to go to games. So somebody's got to be here to watch Addison. So either mom goes and I go with mom, or mom can't go or she stays back and watches Addie and me and Jenny go, or neither of them want to go or can go. And so then I'm, trying to find a friend, phone a friend to go to the game. So if you want to go, let me know. And Chubbs, I will save an Illinois ticket for you. If you want to go to the game where Purdue plays Illinois at Purdue, we can work that out probably. And then when they go to Illinois, maybe if that's closer for you, but we'll work it out one way or another. Either way, we will be going to a Purdue-Illinois game this year. That much I promise you, Chubbs. I didn't get a chance to meet you at training camp. I haven't met you at a Bears game yet, but would love to go to a Purdue-Illinois game with you. They're going to be great. I will answer this time if you call. We've been over this, all right, Taco? I know I didn't. I let you down the last time you called, but I promise this time I will answer, okay? Especially when it comes to Purdue basketball. But regardless, it was an accident the last time I didn't answer. We had a lot of people over. We were drinking, and the Bears were sucking against the Rams. So don't blame me. Blame Andy Dalton. Or blame Matt Nagy, more importantly. Scrap blaming Andy Dalton. Andy doesn't need to be blamed for anything. Blame Matt Nagy. Don't blame me. Blame Matt Nagy. Okay? So, not my fault. Or you can blame Will. You can always blame Will. You can blame Matt Nagy, or you can blame Will. Those are the two people you have an option to blame. But you can't blame me. So, yeah, you can book it, Chubbs. Purdue, Illinois, me and you. Winner, Rebels, loser gets to cry. That's how it's going to go down. So that's right. Ma, meatloaf. Somebody's got to be the ma around here, whether it's grandma or mama bear upstairs, my loving and loyal wife, Jetty. So appreciate her and everything she does because, she had to put Addison down tonight while I babbled on about Purdue sports. But it was a great show, and I appreciate everybody tuning in here tonight. It was a lot of fun. Want to give a big shout out to Sasha Stefanovic, good friend, Purdue Boilermaker, senior guard. Thank you for all your time tonight. Look forward to debuting the Serbian Sniper shirt. Of course, you can get from the indie shop. You can get the Sasha Stefanovic shirt right here that you see. It's at the bookstore already across the street from Mackey Arena. Make sure you get that. And then, of course, make sure you go over to the Mad Mushroom, as we talked about. He's going to be live Wednesday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And they're going to be doing a podcast with Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated. And there's going to be a pizza special and everything else. So make sure you check that out. And, of course, got to shout out my guy, Bobby Buckets, Bobby Riddell, former Purdue Boilermaker and current color radio analyst. Doing his thing and a great guy. Reached out to him yesterday to come on, and he happily obliged and hopped on. Everybody got reached out to yesterday, and everybody was nice enough to carve out a good chunk of their time here tonight to talk some Purdue basketball. So shout out to Bobby, of course, and then of course shout out Craig Bowers. Asked me about a month ago, hey, can we do a crossover show? And I was like, I would absolutely love to. And then me, I'm always last minute with everything I do, and threw this all together here last night. And here we are talking Purdue basketball, and I thought it came together really nicely. So shout out to everybody for their hard work, having fun, talking Purdue sports. So that is going to wrap things up. I don't think I have anything else here to cover. So that is it here for tonight. Again, shout out to everybody that was in the chat. for hanging out. Capitalistic Czar, Chubbs82, Taco Grease. You guys are the last men standing here at Bragg's in the Stands. Thank you guys for tuning in all night here tonight. And thank you to everybody that watched the show or is going to watch the show here later on. Here we got Chubbs, can't end the show because Chubbs got to ask a question. If Illinois wins, I have to go on my show in an Illinois jersey. Well, unless you're providing that jersey. I do have a friend that's a diehard Illinois fan. He might have a jersey. So if that's the case, I might take you up on it. But then if Purdue wins, then you got to wear a Purdue jersey on the show. So how are we going to facilitate that? So we got to figure out the parameters of that. We're going to be doing a show Friday night, I believe, with Johnny B. I reached out to him earlier tonight to try to lock down a time. John actually did answer me back about an hour ago. So 9 p.m. Central, Chubbs, Friday night, we're going to be doing a Brags in the Stands football edition. Yes, I know I said I wasn't going to talk Bears, but can't help myself. The Bears, the gift that keeps on giving. So we'll be talking football Friday night. Chubbs is coming on, or not Chubbs. Johnny B is coming on. He'll be giving away his Johnny B for 3 picks to help you make some money from your couch on Sunday. And so we'll be doing it up again here in a couple of days. I'll be at the Bulls game tomorrow night. So if you're in the United Center at the Madhouse on Madison, watching Derrick Rose take on our new young Chicago Bulls, the new look Bulls, I'll be there. Come find me. Come say hi. Maybe I'll buy you a drink. If you find me, maybe I'll buy you a drink. How's that sound? So that wraps things up for tonight. I am Gregory Braggs Jr. Thank you again to everybody for hanging out. And this, of course, is Brags in the Stands. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Boiler up.